Hi and welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Today we have another post from my friends at HMD MD in India. I'm going to be showing you how to use your stencils with your Minc foil applicator so that you can create cards with this beautiful shimmery effect. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do before we even start our card is heat up our Minc Mini. Now there's a switch on the back here, so just switch that one on. Then you're going to hold the gold button, it will beep at you and flash at 0. And I'm going to heat it all the way down to 4 or 5. I found the hotter that it has been, the better. I haven't found a place that it hasn't been hot enough. We'll try it around 4. In the instruction guide, it does tell you exactly what you need for each type of cardstock. So I'm going to pop that to the side while we get started with our card. I mean, look how beautiful and reflective what we're going to make is. So I have my black cardstock pre-cut. This is down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is a half 8 1/2 by 11 card base. I've got my Minc protector sheet, and you can use these multiple times. You don't need a new one for each one. This is the one that came in with my Minc Mini. And I of course have my CrafTangles Leafy background, and I have a card front size piece of cardstock that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to trim it off at the end once I've finished. So just got a little bit of tape and some tape to hinge it here at the top. Now my Minc, you may have heard, just beeped at me, which if I bring it in here, that flashing red light is now green, which means we're ready to foil once we have our card ready. Now I bought the Minc Reactive Mist, and I've found a really good way of applying it. I'm using just a cheap sponge and a piece of scrap paper. It's not overly misty when you spray it out, so I did have one that went slightly wrong first of all, so I found it was better to put it onto a scrap piece of cardstock like this and then just go over systematically. You want actually quite a thin coat, because otherwise when you put the foil down, because there's some very thin pieces between our leaves, it will just splodge out and you end up with an entire sea of just the pink and gold, which is absolutely fine, but not quite what we're going for here. You can also get this off your stencils really easily, warm water and some soap, but you do want to do it fairly quickly. The advantage of hinging it is I can now lift it up, I can tilt my head, which you can't quite see, but I can just see under the light whether any areas need some more glue. So I'm just tilting to the side and giving some firmer pressure to these finer areas just to make sure my glue gets underneath. And again. Just this little corner here, and I think we're there. So I'm just going to peel this off. Now we have our piece that we can apply our foil to. I pre-cut this piece ready, just card front size, and you can use all of the offcuts, lots of ideas that we can go over. You want it to be as smooth as possible, so I'm just going to just kind of smooth it out a little bit. And you could get that wallpaper roller that we often use and just have a quick going over just to get rid of any of those extra bubbles as much as we can. Then I am just going to trim off my excess with a pair of scissors, and we're ready to get foiling. I'm going to pop that out the way. This is our foiling transfer sheet, so we pop this in here. And then you put the folded side, so this is the sealed side here, into our Minc. It's a bit like a laminator, it will feed it through. And a few seconds later we'll have a beautiful pink glittery card. Now I did also find when I was doing my sample, if it doesn't stick the first time, turn the temperature up, run it through again, no issues at all. Let me scooch that a bit more that way, and you can see how it comes out the other end. And this is a heat reactive foil rather than a glue reactive foil. So here we go, and it will pop out the other end, it will release when it's ready. There is an anti-jam button here, so you can release it if you need to. Now I'm going to lift this up and see how we have got on. Let's move the Minc back to the side, and I'm just going to peel up and cross my fingers. Yes, here we go. So you can see there, let's take all of this waste out the way. I'm just going to turn off my Minc. So you can see that beautiful card, how you've got those stunning leaves and things in there. Now I'm just going to trim a little bit off of here just to make it card front size so that I can mat it onto my black piece. Let me just work out how much I need. I'm going to use my Cutterpede, which is a rotary trimmer, one of my favourite. I've used this trimmer. This is my second one because one dropped on the floor, and I also have a second one of the big one. My nice pink one broke during our move, but as I say, I've been using them for 10 years and I change the blade maybe once a year, even with all of the cutting that I do, and it cuts beautifully. It cuts through chipboard, it cuts through leather, it cuts through everything. Absolutely my favourite. So do check out the links below the video. Oops, you can see I can exchange the blade. Let's just clip that back on. So now I'm going to stick this down. My favourite double-sided adhesive is the Tonic Tape Runner, and I let children play with it. But these are great. It's really strong, really easy to use, and occasionally it does get a little bit jammed, but you just roll it with your finger, and they're about $2 for an entire tape runner, and you can refill them if you need to as well. It's even better. So I'm going to stick this down onto here, and then I'm going to use some of my favourite foam tape. I'm just going to snip a little bit off, which is just kept in my drawer. It's a massive roll of foam tape, and we're going to put that on the back of here. So I just pop some pieces around, and you can double this up if you want a more dynamic effect. And I'm going to peel this off. And this is the Lawn Fawn black cardstock that I've used here. I have my card base, Neenah Solar White, just trimmed in half. Again, all of this will be linked underneath the video, and underneath there will also be a blog post, so do check that out as well, and you can find even more details there. So I'm going to stick that down, and we just need to put our centre on. I'm going to use this Hugs die by Concord and 9th. It layers up beautifully. You get 3 different die cuts just from 2 actual dies. They all come in one set. I'm going to just grab my Teflon mat back again, and I'm using my Pritt stick, or an equivalent of the Elmer's glue stick, just because this is so fine. Just dot it on like so. And then I'm going to stick this. I did a glittery one on here. I'll show you what I did on my other one as well for another suggestion of how you can fill in, how you can fill in that centerpiece. I'm sticking to it, I think, more than anything. Just give that a second. And again, grab my wallpaper roller and just make sure it's all stuck down. And I'll link up one of these. So for this one, I did it on white cardstock, and I pre-stamped just with some words. It actually says Hugs and Cuddles, I think, or something like that underneath, and then I cut it out on top of that. So that's another option that you can do, and then layered it on the black. Again, I'm just going to pick these bits up, and then I'm going to stick it across the front here. So there we go. That is how to use the Minc foiler and how to use it through your stencils. Thanks so much for joining us today. Please do subscribe to the Hedgehog Hollow channel, and we will see you again soon. Happy stamping. Bye.